More recently, there was this one when she went on The View. This is very recent. Take a listen to her message there.
I don't know what the difference between our Christian right and the Taliban is. I have no idea what the difference is.
You're not the only person who's said that.
I don't know what the difference is.
Yeah.
What's happening in this country right now in the name of religion is so dangerous.
Okay, I love the whoopee response. You're not the only one who feels that way. You know, I only know other people feel that way. There's no difference, Taliban and Christian right. So Patti Lupone, and then as I mentioned, she was ripping on me too, so I don't like her. I don't like her for all of these reasons. But this is so delicious. Okay, let's just dig in because you're going to like this. It's so fun. It's so rare that these people get hoisted on their own petards. But she's on her petard, ladies. Okay, here's where things started to go wrong for her. Okay, last year, I don't know where we're getting. Wait, tell me the sources that I'm reading from, so I don't completely copy this off of somebody without credit.
Megyn, it's okay. You can just say other people have said that. You're not the only one who has said that. You can just
other people also agree that last year, Patti Lupone's show, The Roommate, shared a wall with a different show, the Alicia Keys musical, which is called Hell's Kitchen. Okay, so their two shows shared a wall. And the actress who stars in the Alicia Keys musical is Keisha Lewis. And Patti Lupone didn't like sharing a wall with Keisha Lewis's show, Hell's Kitchen, because the sound from the Alicia Keys musical would bleed through. And Patti Lupone, who really does fancy herself the queen of Broadway, was unhappy that she had to listen to any of the musical notes. So she spoke with the head of the other theater and asked him if he could fix the noise problem. After those efforts, which came this past November, Keisha Lewis posted a video on Instagram. Do we have the shot? Let's just play it.
Ms. Lupone, these actions, in my opinion, are bullying. They're offensive. They're racially microaggressive. They're rude. They're rooted in privilege. And these actions also lack a sense of community and leadership for someone as yourself who has been in the business as long as you have. I want to explain what a microaggression is. These are subtle, unintentional comments or actions that convey stereotypes, biases, or negative assumptions about someone based on their race. Examples include calling a black show loud in a way that dismisses it. Referring to a predominantly black Broadway show as loud can unintentionally reinforce harmful stereotypes. And it also feels dismissive of the artistry and the voices that are being celebrated on stage. Ms. Lupone, I respectfully submit to you that you owe us an apology, not flowers.
Don't! And flowers. Shots fired! This is so perfect, right? It's like the woke and the woker, and then it's like you're a racist. It's a microaggression to say a black show is loud, even though it's Alicia Keys and it's a musical. I'm sure the piano and the singing is loud. It goes on the whole time, but so it does in most musicals. In any event, shots fired. Okay, so then Patti Lupone sits down for an interview with The New Yorker. And she doesn't give two shits that anybody's attacking her because she's like, I fucking hang out with George Clooney and The View. You bitches can go F. Okay? So she says to The New Yorker, I know you got to go soon, Eliana, so you can peace out when you got to go, but this is too delicious soon. So you stay as long as you can. She says, when The New Yorker writer brought up the incident, oh my God, said Lupone, here's the problem. She calls herself a veteran. Let's find out how many Broadway shows Keisha Lewis has done because she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. Okay. She then Googled, meaning Patti Lupone Googled Keisha Lewis. Quote, she's done 7. I've done 31. Don't call yourself a vet, bitch.
Tours of duty.
Angry. She's an angry lady. Okay, so she's like asserting her power like, I'm the queen of Broadway, Keisha, suck it. Okay, so then this New Yorker writer, who is that's the person, by the way, who we got the information from, and the New York Post. We got to who's the writer, because this person is subversive. Michael Schulman, I think I'm your fan. I'll have to research you more, but I love this piece. So this guy is one subversive SOB. So he then writes, I mentioned that Audra McDonald the Tony-decorated Broadway star, had given the video by Keisha Lewis supportive emojis. I love this guy. He's a little shit stirrer. He's like, oh, well, another Broadway queen who's very well rewarded and Tony decorated. She liked the video. Audra McDonald did. And Patti Lupone said, exactly. And I thought, you should know better. That's typical of Audra. She's not a friend. Hard D. She's not a friend. It's fun playing her. The two singers had some long ago rift, Lupone said, but she didn't want to elaborate. When I asked what she thought of Audra McDonald, the thumbs up lady, current production of Gypsy, she stared at me in silence for 15 seconds. Then she turned to the window and sighed, "What a beautiful day." I couldn't love this anymore. The drama for these just highfalutin Broadway bees. Okay, so here it comes. Here it comes. Open letter signed by more than 600 members of the Broadway community condemning Patti Lupone's comments about Keisha Lewis and Audra McDonald. Now you've effed yourself over with not one but two beautiful black Broadway broads, and you're in serious trouble, Patti Lupone. 600 people. The letter was addressed openly to the theater community, as well as Tony producers, the Broadway League, and the American Theater Wing. Okay, here we go. All right, okay, goodbye, Eliana. We'll miss you. Emily, you get the joy of staying through to the end of this.
I was going to say, she did that on purpose.
She's like, peace out. This is too... Anyway, but you're the lucky one who gets to hear the end. From the letter. This language is not only degrading and misogynistic, it is a blatant act of racialized disrespect. It constitutes bullying. It constitutes harassment, the letter reads. It is emblematic of the microaggressions and abuse that people in this industry have endured for far too long, too often without consequence. Yes, because when you think of Broadway, you think about its microaggressions against Black and minority people. Isn't that really what Broadway... That's the experience you get over there. The audience has heard me say, went to see Macbeth on Broadway a couple years ago with Doug. Daniel Craig was starring in it. We saw a guy in a wheelchair who came out to introduce the play. It was a majority-minority cast, even though it was 1500s Scotland. You were like almost no white people. The King's son was played by a woman who had a blue mohawk. But Broadway hates minorities, really, is what they're saying. It's the abuse and microaggressions that people in this industry have endured for far too long, too often without consequence. Quote, to publicly attack a woman who has contributed to this art form with such excellence, leadership, and grace. And they don't mean Patti Lupone. They mean the woman starring in Hell's Kitchen, Keisha Lewis, I think, or maybe Audra McDonald. Unclear. Either one will work. But to attack her and to discredit the legacy, of Audra McDonald. So they meant Keisha Lewis first, and discrediting Audra's legacy. The most nominated and awarded performer in Tony Award history, not you, Patti, is not simply a personal offense. It is a public affront to the values of collaboration, equity, and mutual respect that our theater community claims to uphold. We call on the American Theater Wing and the Broadway League to take immediate action, not only in response to Patti Lupone's comments, but in establishing a broader standard of accountability moving forward. So they won't have to deal with these racists and misogynists running rampant on stage on Broadway, Emily. I mean, who knew? Individuals, including Patti Lupone, who used their platform to publicly demean, harass, or disparage fellow artists, particularly with racial, she said, loud. It's racial, gendered. She said, bitch, or doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. Yeah, both of those things, gendered, or otherwise violent language should not be welcomed at industry events. You're out of the cool crowd, Patti Lupone. You won't be invited to the next LGBTQ Pride event, including the Tony Awards, the fundraisers, and the public programs. First, we lost the Kennedy Center, and now this. Patti can't
Does it actually say that
anything.
in the letter?
It doesn't say that. Not the Kennedy part.
No, but before that, it really says
Tony Awards fundraisers and public programs. They want a shunning.
They're going to kick
shunning.
Patti Lupone out of the Tony Award.
Yes.
It's civil war. It's civil war.
I love it. I love it. There's literally no one to root for and everyone to loathe. It's so wonderful. You don't get these stories every day. As of Saturday, the letter had almost 700 signatures. They're probably over 700. I don't even think they're more than that on Broadway. Probably have 1,000 people working on Broadway. And then Saturday came. Oh, by the way, speaking of the Kennedy Center, in that interview with the New Yorker, the writer pointed out that she told me more than once, quote, the Trumpified Kennedy Center should get blown up. She wants it blown up, the Trumpified Kennedy Center. So now, by the way, she got no blowback for that. No nasty letter, no open letter about her violent language. No one gave two shits. But they're very upset she said loud.
People read it.
But the lady's very upset that she referred to a musical about Alicia Keys as loud because they share a wall that she can hear. Okay, so here, of course, was the forced apology, which is such a fun part of the act. Okay, here's the apology. For as long as I have worked in the fucking theater. No, she doesn't. It just sounded like her. In the theater. I've spoken my mind and never apologized. That is changing today. I am deeply sorry for the words I used during the New Yorker interview, particularly about Keisha Lewis, which were demeaning and disrespectful. Again, this is what she said about her. She calls herself a veteran. Let's find out how many Broadway shows she's done. She doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. She's done 7. I've done 31. Don't call yourself a vet, bitch. They were demeaning and disrespectful. I am devastated that my behavior has offended others and has run counter to what we hold dear in the community. I hope to have the chance to speak to Audrey and Keisha personally to offer my sincere apologies. I made a mistake. I take full responsibility for it, and I am committed to making this right. Our entire theater community deserves better. That's it. That's story time with MK, courtesy of this guy who wrote a banger of a New Yorker piece, the New York Post, and Patti Lupone in her own very weird Broadway community's overreactions to everything. Your thoughts on the whole thing?
Well, I have so many, Megyn. But first of all, I feel like I just watched a one-woman show, which was you as Patti Lupone, channeling Patti Lupone, going back and forth in this bitter civil war on Broadway. Now, it's just... Patti Lupone has been a known sort of bully, or the accusations of her being a bully have circulated around Broadway for years. It's sort of baked into the lore and the myth of Patti Lupone is that she's like this old school Broadway diva. And so the fact that it's now being treated as like a social justice issue to take down Patti Lupone is really something. Now, suddenly, 2025, everyone must take down Patti Lupone because she accused the Alicia Keys musical of being too loud at one point. I mean, I'm just going to keep pulling on the same thread and make this connection between the awful Rosie O'Donnell herpes video, the Sex and the City video, and the Rachel Maddow, Nicole Wallace podcast that we talked about on the show today, Megyn. It's like these people don't have anyone to tell them stop because they have exercised, they've purged good faith critics who are still touching grass from their community, so they don't have anyone to tell them how insane and ridiculous they sound, and it is making their work suffer. It is turning them into not just like crazy, eccentric, interesting artists, but just like fully sick, mentally ill people. Like they're still lecturing people about microaggressions in the year of our Lord 2025. It just I think you couldn't write it because you would think at this point they would have had some like humility and self-reflection, but no, because they've purged everyone who might be a good faith critic, and it's not good for them. It's not good for the country. But at this point, we can kind of just let them have their sideshow, like their little side project with
self-destructing. I mean. Yeah, it's like they're all killing each other, so it's fine. I don't care. We win either way. I don't care who wins this fight. But not for nothing, how insane was that video by the star of the Alicia Keys musical attacking what Patti Lupone said, which was, your show's loud and we can hear it through the wall. I mean, that was Looney Tunes. The microaggressions. Can we just watch that? Can I just see it one more time? I just need to see some of that one more time. This is Keisha Lewis on Instagram warning Patti Lupone about her terrible language.
Ms. Lupone, these actions, in my opinion, are bullying. They're offensive. They're racially microaggressive. They're rude. They're rooted in privilege. And these actions also lack a sense of community and leadership for someone as yourself who has been in the business as long as you have. I want to explain what a microaggression is. These are subtle, unintentional comments or actions that convey stereotypes, biases, or negative assumptions about someone based on their race. Examples include calling a black show loud in a way that dismisses it. Referring to a predominantly black Broadway show as loud can unintentionally reinforce harmful stereotypes. And it also feels dismissive
it is loud.
Of the artistry and the voices that are being celebrated on stage. Ms. Lupone, I respectfully submit to you that you owe us an apology, not flowers.
Unbelievable. Okay,
isn't it a microaggression to tell someone to pull up their mask when they might have had a medical reason for not wearing a mask? That sounds like a microaggression, singling them out in the audience.
Good point. Here's the thing that I like my own analysis of this. Live by the sword, die by the sword. This July, there's a global summit of BRICS nations in Rio de Janeiro. The bloc of emerging potential superpowers, including China, Russia, India, and Iran, are meeting with the goal of displacing the U.S. dollar as the global currency. They're calling this the Rio Reset. As BRICS nations push forward with their plans, some worry global demand for U.S. dollars could decrease, potentially bringing down the value of the dollars in your savings. While this transition will not happen overnight, the Rio Reset could mark a pivotal moment. So learn if diversifying your savings into gold is right for you. Birch Gold Group can help you move your hard-earned savings into a tax-sheltered IRA in precious metals. Claim your free info kit on gold by texting MK to the number 989898. With an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, let Birch Gold arm you with a free, no-obligation info kit on owning gold before July and the so-called Rio Reset. Text MK to 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.